Just as in the Christian world we divide time into before Christ, BC, and after Christ, AD, so in the world of philosophy we can divide time into before Socrates, BS, and after Socrates, AS. For Socrates is regarded as the founder of Western philosophy. Everything we know about Socrates is second-hand information primarily from his pupils Plato and Xenophon. Very little of this information is agreed, but what is agreed is that he was universally acknowledged as a profoundly ugly man, that he was strange in his dress, his personality, and in his behavior. His lasting legacy was his ability to deconstruct the beliefs and attitudes of those around him to reveal the fallacy in their thinking. For those attracted to his intelligence and methods, Socrates was a once-in-a-lifetime find. To less intelligent men, in particular those in power, Socrates was a threat that had to be removed from Athenian life. Born in 469 BC to Sophroniscus, a sculptor, and Phaenarete, a midwife, he studied under Archelaus and learned from the scientific teachings of Anaxagoras. Socrates abandoned the expectations placed on Athenian males. He had no interest in fame, wealth, or political power. This would have been regarded as highly unusual for a man of ability. He was criticized for dressing shabbily, wearing the same gown and going barefoot morning and night, summer and winter. And when criticized by Antiphon, the sophist, about why he, Socrates, lived so poorly, Socrates replied, "For my part, I am of opinion that to have need of nothing at all is a divine perfection, and that to have need of little is to approach very near the deity. And hence it follows that as there is nothing more excellent than the deity, whatever approaches nearest to it is likewise most near the supreme excellence." While it appears he was no lover of authority, in actual fact Socrates held that citizens should submit themselves to the authority of the state. But this did not mean you could not challenge the actions and decisions of the state. Socrates had distinguished service as a hoplite during the Peloponnesian War. However, Athens was on the losing side and was occupied by Sparta. It was only a matter of time before the authorities found something to charge him with. He was accused of corrupting youth, of denying the accepted gods, and of introducing his own deity. It didn't help that the oracle at Delphi declared that Socrates was the wisest man. Socrates was perplexed by this because he did not regard himself as possessing wisdom. He set out to prove the god wrong. He did this by trying to find a wise man, and when he did, he tried to argue that the man only thought he was wise. The result was that the man hated him. Socrates concluded that he indeed must be the wisest, because he at least knew that he wasn't wise, whereas those regarded as wise did not know they were not wise. Socrates did not see himself as a teacher. He set himself against the sophists, who specialized in teaching students, for a fee, the skills they needed to climb the social and political ladder of ancient Athens. The sophists specialized in teaching students rhetoric, the ability to argue from two opposing points of view. Socrates rejected this, for he was interested only in truth. To get at truth required an examination of what the student knew. Indeed, Socrates is famous for having said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." Socrates held that many people believed things, but did not know why they believed such things. He understood people had a claim to knowledge, but when challenged, could not support that claim. Unless people examined the reasons for their belief about what they knew, they could never arrive at truth and so live a good life. Socrates could be found in the Agora, Athens' ancient marketplace, ready and willing to engage anyone in the search for truth. His method at arriving at truth involved challenging what people believed they knew. Known as the dialectic, a forerunner of logic, this method involves seeking knowledge through a process of questions and answers. The process is often referred to as the Socratic method. It resembles a debate, but not one in which there is a winner and a loser. Rather, the goal of the debate is to move from a lesser truth to a higher truth. Socrates said he did not teach, but drew out from the student what they already knew. Socrates rejected the notion that the senses were the primary means by which we learned. Because the senses could be deceived, they could not be trusted. The only way to discover the truth was by examining what we claimed to know. Socrates was a master at revealing to people that they knew less than they claimed to know. He himself once claimed that he knew nothing and that he knew nothing. Socrates rejected practical pursuits in favor of a philosophy focused on enriching the soul. He regarded the soul as immortal, living on after the body died. It may be because of this that he did not put up a more robust defense at his trial. And by devoting himself to the examination of abstract concepts such as truth, justice, and morality, rather than more practical matters, he may well have set back human learning by a few centuries. As Bertrand Russell points out in his History of Western Philosophy, The Socratic method is suitable for matters about which we already have enough knowledge to come to the right conclusion. Questions such as, what is justice, lend themselves well to the Socratic method, but ultimately the resolution of that question does not provide us with a discovery in ethics, merely a better definition. However, matters which lend themselves to logical debate can be suitably examined using the Socratic method. I see many similarities between my view of my context and Socrates. I am not content to accept the status quo where the status quo contradicts my own values and beliefs. I think I have reasonable grounds for the values and beliefs that I hold. However, these are not set in stone and are open to challenge. Consequently, like Socrates, I am not certain that I know anything, and I am certainly not convinced of any wisdom I may hold. As a teacher, I use the Socratic method. For example, when I am teaching the topic waterfalls, I will draw a diagram on my whiteboard of a river flowing over a precipice. I will ask my students, what is a waterfall? A student will reply, it is a flow of water. I will suggest to him that if I tip over a glass of water, I would have a flow of water. Is that a waterfall? No, they will say. Someone will offer that a waterfall is a flow of water in a river. So I will show a picture of a river without a precipice and ask if this is a waterfall. No, someone will say. Another will offer it as a flow of water over an edge. Using this process, as a class, we will construct together a definition of a waterfall as a vertical fall of water in the upper course of a river. When debating issues in social geography, I will challenge students' views using particular questions such as, could you explain that further? And what evidence is there to support what you say? The end point being a deeper understanding of why each of us holds a particular point of view. In the end, Socrates was found guilty. He made a mockery of the trial, and his offer of a suitable punishment was regarded as an insult to the jury, so he was sentenced to die by drinking hemlock. In dying, he gave life to Plato's career as a philosopher, and later on Aristotle's, whose views on science and nature dominated Western thinking until the Age of Enlightenment.